going on, Dunces family? How y'all doing today? We got a special video today. We finally got the four Dunces here today. Jeremy, Johnny, Isandro, myself, Jason. We're just gonna get it off started over here with a few news around the NBA. I got my
I made
trusty
this.
pad
I
here.
made this painting for Trey
Oh
Young.
my gosh.
You gotta put it up a little bit.
What even
see
is
it.
that?
We gotta see. We gotta see.
Oh, it's a whale.
I made this painting for Trey Young.
You know what, Johnny? It looks beautiful, buddy. And I'm
Said,
so
"Oh, it's
proud
a
that
whale," with the confidence. Oh,
I'm so proud of you for showing us your dolphin.
that's a nice sun, bro.
Thank you, bro.
It was a
Thank
I
you.
love the water. I love the water. I love
The water
Trey
was
Young, Trey Young is the greatest point guard to ever play basketball.
okay.
It's time to have this
Is
conversation.
Trey Young the best point guard left in these playoffs?
Is Trae
Definitely
Young the
not.
best point guard
Definitely.
ever.
Let's kind of redirect this back to the topic at hand. And I think I think we should start off with these Eastern Conference Finals, since obviously it looks like it's what we want to talk about, and it's fresh in our minds because we just saw Atlanta take down the Milwaukee Bucks in the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals. Gentlemen, what does this mean? Is it a bigger deal for Atlanta to win, or is it a bigger deal for the Bucks losing? Let's start off with Sandro on this one. What do you think?
I'm so confused. Is it a bigger deal for Atlanta winning, or is it a big
Yes.
deal for the Bucks? Because if Atlanta wins, that means the Bucks lose, right?
I'm saying the first game. I'm just talking about the first game. Like, who is it a bigger deal for? Is it a bigger deal for Milwaukee, the fact that they lost, or is it a bigger
It
deal?
doesn't mean anything, man. Chris Middleton, because it just depends on him. You can't shoot 6 for 22 multiple times in these playoffs. Like, it's not even like an off game. Like, he is consistently inconsistent. When he decides to step up, that's when the Milwaukee Bucks win. It's not a coincidence. So if he decides to step up, they're gonna win. And if he doesn't, then they don't really stand a chance against Trey Young, Ice Trey.
Ice cold Trey.
Well, he's not ice cold. He's actually red hot. But what do you think?
Yes.
What do you think, Jeremy? Is it more important that the Bucks lost this game, or is it more important that the Hawks won it?
I think it's more important that the Hawks won it at this rate.
Why?
Because
Explain. Elaborate.
At the end of the day, everybody's already underestimating the Hawks. At the end of the day, so
Okay.
at the end of the day, the Hawks, they got nothing to lose, but taking this win is very, very important for them, and as well as shutting my mouth of doubting Trey Young, which he has my respect. I hate how he plays, but it works out for him. However, going back to what Isandro said, and I was gonna have the same exact take. You can't really rely on Chris Middleton at the end of the day.
Yeah,
You
he
really can't.
shouldn't be. Even though technically, if you think about it, I mean, as great as Giannis is, he's the two-time MVP. He can't shoot. So technically, your best player on the court is kind of Chris Middleton. And I don't think that you're going to win a championship with Chris Middleton as your number one offensive player.
Drew Holiday dropped 30. He was the second best player.
Yeah, I know, but my point is that, Chris Middleton is a multiple-time All-Star, and he's consistently done it throughout the season. Now in the playoffs, he hasn't, and technically he is the best player.
Defense wins championships, but if there's no offense going on in the team,
yeah, it's basically non-existent for them. But Johnny, I want to ask your opinion on this, and not just this game, but the entire series. How important or how significant is this win for Trey Young? It's a 46-point game, I believe he had. So what does this mean for him and his legacy, really? I mean, it's only his third year in the league, but he's proved everybody wrong. So what do you think about Trey Young in this?
Yeah, not a legacy game yet. I mean, it's first playoffs. But, I mean, we're talking about the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, they're on a tear right now. They're playing great team basketball, and it's really starting from Nate McMillan and his coaching, and really out-coaching the Bucks. I mean, if you look at the stats here, I mean, the Hawks shot 25% from three, had 11 turnovers in a road playoff game, matched the Bucks on offensive rebounds and foul calls. And the Bucks they're bigger, but yet the Hawks, they still find a way to win. And I like that. Trey Young had a really poor series in Philadelphia, especially the tail end of the games, but they still found ways to win. Today, only shooting 25% from three. They got big performances from John Collins, another solid performance from Kevin Huerter. Bogdanovic is not even 100%.
He's not, and you can tell.
You can tell. He's only getting probably he's at least 60% out there, and they're still winning games. You know, I really enjoyed the defense, and the crazy part is the Bucks. They got the first good Drew Holiday game of the entire playoffs, still lost. I mean, that's why I think the Hawks winning is a bigger deal because they're only going to get better, but we know the Bucks only win games if they have a certain type of performance, and that was that performance in Game 6 where Chris Middleton had a big game, Giannis was attacking the basket, and everyone was hitting threes. Game 7 was an anomaly. I say that was an anomaly just because they lost in the overtime game where everyone was tired.
Okay. Let's not talk about that, please.
All right, not bad. Yeah, huge deal for the Hawks.
It's still fresh.
We're sorry.
Still fresh.
KD choking overtime.
Maybe this loss.
Airball.
Maybe the loss. Like KD's like he looks in the mirror and he looks at the wave brushes he has.
Okay. I'm gonna mute you guys. So
the ball.
Back to this Atlanta game.
Johnny had a good point.
He looks like
Atlanta's gonna gain momentum.
That he bought in 2012 with fresh packaging.
Okay. Well,
anyway,
PJ Tucker flirting with his mom.
Atlanta. Here's my take on the game. Or go ahead, Johnny. Finish
Atlanta. Okay, so like I said, Atlanta is only going to get better. Trae Young, bro. Nobody knows why Brook Lopez is on the floor, bro. They're just gonna attack him the pick and roll the entire game, and Bud still doesn't realize this, bro. Like it's ridiculous.
I don't know why Giannis isn't playing center in this series. I don't know why he didn't play center last series against the Nets, honestly, but he should have definitely
because of Mike Budenholzer.
Giannis,
Bud.
He is the biggest. If this team had like a competent coach in the playoffs, it would be a 5, maybe a 6-game series.
Should be wraps.
They should have wrapped up the Nets because the Nets were injured, but they took it to 7 to overtime. You know.
But so my thing is the Hawks. They stole home court advantage. Man, all the pressure is on the Bucks in Game 2.
Absolutely.
All the pressure is on the Bucks in Game
2. Which is kind of what I want to get into with Atlanta. I think this has more. It brings me back to when Boston went to the conference finals. That first year with Tatum and Brown playing together in Tatum's rookie season, and Terry Rozier as their point guard. It was a young team. They didn't have their 2 stars, and yet they took it to Game 7 against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers to the Eastern Conference Finals. And that kind of like boosted their confidence. But I mean, obviously now with everything that's happened to the team, of course it flatlined, whatever. But my point is that their confidence level was there. We knew that from a young age, they can do it. Same thing here with Trae Young. His first ever Eastern Conference playoffs, his first playoffs in general. He's playing these games and short buckets. And they're not even
ultimate confidence.
Exactly. The confidence.
He has a swag.
And he's shooting. The shooting isn't really that good. What's good is that he's finding his spots and getting his teammates in their spots. And
what was it? It was 17 of 32. What was it?
Something like that. I mean, that's not a bad percentage. My point is that like
in the playoffs,
throughout the playoffs, he hasn't been doing as well as we kind of hoped. But even then, what can you expect from a point guard who is trapped all the time? I mean,
When we say
first time,
we're saying like he hasn't been shooting efficiently like he did in the New York series.
Exactly.
He's still finding ways to win. Like that's the remarkable of a great player, dude. Like
you can
absolutely. And bro, the way he gets his teammates involved, bro,
it's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch.
Like so, when he was coming out the draft, like in Oklahoma, I was like, okay, yeah, this is basically a Steph Curry, but he's not really a Steph Curry. He's basically a hybrid Steve Nash, bro. The way he can pass the basketball. I mean, he can pass the basketball, gets his teammates involved. Like, oh my goodness, and the best part about Trae Young that I really like is that when he gets into that middle area of the floor, his lobs look exactly like his passes. So he's really putting the big that's assigned to guard that in shambles because he doesn't know whether it's a pass, whether it's a lob. He's just that skilled of a passer. Oh, bro, some of the passes that he made to Collins, one pass from half court, bro, perfectly into his hands, behind the backboard, behind the back while double teamed. He just gets his players in the right spots, and man, he's on a tear. So we'll see what happens.
It's commendable. I like him.
Basically, what we're saying here then is like all those Trae Young haters, myself included, we kind of got to shut up because Trae Young is really proving everybody wrong. That the way he plays, as annoying as it can be at times.
He has the arrogance, but he's proving it.
He's doing it so well at an effective rate, and the team is winning games, and they took home court advantage, as you said. So yes, I believe that is a bigger, more important that the fact that they won than the Bucks lost. Now, this doesn't give the Bucks a pass. If the Bucks lose the next game or even any game in Atlanta, no way that they win this series. I actually have Atlanta in 6, but if Milwaukee does not win at least one game in Atlanta, they have no chance.
No,
zero
Win,
chance.
look, if Atlanta wins again next game, sweep.
Yeah, obviously.
I want to say Atlanta in 6 as well, but we'll see. Because I can't really. It's leaning towards Atlanta 6 or 7, depending on how Game 2 goes.
You have to also remember Atlanta. They're on a high right now, dude. Like they're playing so well together, and they're all hot. Like every single one of their players
they
is
got
hot.
the momentum.
So exactly, the momentum there.
I mean, the thing is, with the Hawks, you don't know what you're going to get from John Collins every night. That's a whole other thing. So we'll see how he plays in Game 2.
The thing is, they were still able to beat Philadelphia with Trae Young shooting like 30% from the field for most games. That's pretty impressive.
And Kevin Huerter, bro, he's finding
Huerter is doing well. And you know what? Another underrated player is Danilo Gallinari. Gallinari, he's the veteran on the team, and he's doing so well. And
PJ Tucker on skates.
Bro, that was dirty. Jeremy and I were like, dude, this is crazy.
Like, yo, he's got to make it. He's got to make it.
What's this 6'10" Italian dude doing? And then you got Clint Capella, Clint Capella, who also has playoff experience with a ball-dominant player like James Harden. So the whole team, the camaraderie, and then you got Lou Will coming off your bench. I mean, they're in a good spot to have this upset, I guess you can say, against Milwaukee. So it's very exciting.
Lou Will is one of the biggest reasons why they came back in Game 5. So
absolutely,
you're not going to get this. You're obviously not going to get Lou Will, the Clippers of old. But there's certain points where when you need a veteran to step up and say, "All right, let me take care of this," Lou Williams is that guy.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we got to see, like, bro, I'm not expecting Bud to make any adjustments. Dog, I saw Giannis take a 3, like, the first 30 seconds of the game. I was like, all right, well.
The game's over. Yeah, man. Something's got to go on over there. But, moving on to the other conference finals, which already started its first 2 games in Phoenix. The Phoenix Suns and the LA Clippers. So far, it's a 2-0, not 2-0 sweep. It's 2-0. Phoenix has the advantage, of course. Devin Booker has been playing out of his mind. Last game, broken nose. The defense was covering him, basically when he stepped on the court. So what do you guys think about Phoenix? Is it kind of the same thing with Atlanta, or is there just something different that it's like, wow, if Phoenix wins it this series, they win the championship? Let's start off with you, Isandro, again. What do you think about Phoenix and how these wins really affect them?
Phoenix is the team that, and it shouldn't be a compliment in every other playoff series, but in this specific playoff series, it is. They are the most consistent, the most driven team. They're overachieving. They're hardworking. It says a lot about them when they're leaders and even on the court and they're still performing and they're still excelling. And usually you would think other playoff teams would step up, but this year is kind of unique in that there's been injuries, there's just inconsistencies, and the teams that were left were the Philadelphia 76ers, who had glaring issues, which were obvious, and they're not here anymore. The Bucks, who took 7 games to beat an injured Nets, and they barely beat them. And now they're looking kind of shaky again because of coaching and Middleton. And I can't think of anything else. And now they're facing the Clippers that are injured, but they are taking everything that they have faced so far with aplomb, and they're not underestimating their opponents at all. They're not thinking, they've got this star player injured. Let's take it easy a little bit, maybe chill out a bit. No, they swept an injured team, but they did sweep them. They beat the Lakers in 6. They didn't let it go to 7. And now it looks like they're going to beat the Clippers in maybe 5 or 6 games without Kawhi, but they're still getting business done. And it's something that you're not seeing from Milwaukee, which on paper, Milwaukee, it shouldn't even be a close series. It should be 5 games max. But because of those inconsistencies with their players and with the coaching, you just can't trust Milwaukee. So the Suns are the only, and the Hawks are too young. They're also playing this way, but they're just too young, too inexperienced, and they don't have enough firepower to kind of get it over the hump. If they do make it past Milwaukee, which is a possibility, and if they do make it to the finals, and let's say the Suns, because I do think the Suns are looking likely to go to the finals, they don't really stand a chance against the Suns because the Suns are that team that they're healthy. They're the healthiest and they're the most driven team in this entire playoffs. They're the team to beat, in my opinion.
There was a lot that you talked about there. And
I just want to
honestly,
give
I think the last part kind of made a lot of sense. But go ahead, Johnny.
I just want to give a shout out to the National Smokers Association who are sponsoring this video. Alessandro has gone 20 years without taking a single smoke break, and you got the lodge right here.
You had to bring that up at first, bro. You had to put your phone to your thing and say, Sandro, how's your throat, buddy?
To our viewers who are struggling with this issue, just remember that the Dunces Podcast is here for you, and it's National Smokers Association Awareness Month.
I was gonna say sponsor us, but we don't support that. But keep us in mind.
So no, we're not sponsored by the cigarette company. We're sponsored by the Non-Smokers Association.
Oh,
the non-smokers.
Okay.
Who's the one that puts out the nicotine patches that kind of help you beat the habit of smoking?
Yeah, the nicotine packages that have nicotine in them. So like you're just addicted to that.
But no, that's not how it works though. They help you get off. They help you get off the addiction.
Okay, let's go back to the task at hand here. Phoenix, LA Clippers. I'm gonna take a little bit on this right now, and then I'm gonna ask Jeremy and Johnny your thoughts on this. What Isandro said was basically right. I mean, obviously the Milwaukee thing that's separate because we already know Milwaukee is terrible. But with Phoenix, in their case, yes, they are technically one of the most healthiest. I mean, they don't have their star player in Chris Paul,
but they will.
They will.
It's only COVID. It's not an injury.
According to sources, he will most likely be playing for Game 3, which is tomorrow.
He's probable on the
probable. That's what I said. Yes, he is probable for tomorrow. So if he does play, and most likely he will. But if he does play, obviously a lot of the things that we saw in that Game 2 that kind of brought the Clippers back because Phoenix was kind of just stagnant and just throwing the ball everywhere. Chris Paul is going to handle that. So when he comes back, Clippers don't have their star player in Kawhi. Paul George, look, I love the guy, but man, you can't miss 2 free throws, to ice the game or whatever. Like that's just pathetic to me.
He did have a really good game up until that point, like that fourth quarter.
I know, but still, that's the fourth quarter is what matters. I just want to point that out there. But the Clippers, I don't think that they can win this series. I'm so glad that they finally made a conference finals, but it sucks that Kawhi is not there. But I still see that the Phoenix Suns winning this series, winning it out, and then once they make it to the finals, it should be Milwaukee as their competitor. And if it is, I still got Phoenix, but it's Milwaukee's to lose, and I just wanted to say that. But as for Phoenix, those 2 wins have really solidified who Devin Booker is. Like Devin Booker is a dog. Like we've already known this, but those 2 games are really just putting Devin Booker just somewhere on just another level.
He didn't really have a good game in Game 2.
But on the way that he played, he was getting locked up everywhere, and then you got DeAndre Ayton who's playing out of his mind right now. These 2 guys, man, it's something special going on in Phoenix because they're doing this without Chris Paul, and soon they're not going to have Chris Paul because he's getting up there in age. So this is just a starting point of what's to come for this team. And Mikal Bridges, I mean, sure, he missed that 3, but man, his defense is absolutely amazing. So Phoenix is going to do a great job this series.
Did you say that it was Milwaukee's to lose if they make the finals?
Absolutely. It's Milwaukee's championship to lose.
Just on paper, they're like the better team.
And you have the 2-time MVP and a former coach of the year. And you technically have 3 great. I'm sorry, your entire starting lineup technically is a great defensive team. If you got Holiday, Middleton, Tucker, Giannis, and Brook, I mean, these are 5 great defensive players. You can't tell me that you can't beat the Suns.
And you got a championship.
True.
Assistant coach.
But I mean, CP3, Booker, DeAndre Ayton.
I know, but I mean, you can't tell me that those big 3 are gonna are better than Giannis and his team.
Giannis is better than those 3, but CP3.
I know. I'm saying the team. I'm saying the team. The overall team, Milwaukee's team. Technically, they have a better team. So it's Milwaukee's to lose. Now, the main thing that we're trying to focus on is Phoenix and LA. what do you guys think, Jeremy and Johnny? What do you guys think this means? I guess I'll ask Jeremy on the Phoenix portion because you have Phoenix in 4. So what do you think this means for Phoenix?
You start us something new. We have a nice Shaq and Kobe on the uprising 2.0.
I just want to mention that the way that you're talking into the mic makes me feel really good. So continue.
Okay.
Well, that right there, that didn't make me feel good. I don't feel
okay. I just wanted to mention.
Now, none of this is making me feel good.
I mean,
Jeremy,
from the beginning.
Anyways,
it
is a beautiful day in Phoenix, guys.
Jeremy heard that.
Out of his mind without Chris Paul. Look, and me and Sancho, we talked about this over in the chat before, that if Kawhi doesn't come back, the Suns are sweeping the series easily. And keep in mind, this will be at least well, how many games so far they haven't lost? Because the last time they lost was against the Lakers. They're going into this game pretty much undefeated.
They're not winning streak right now.
They did lose one game to the Lakers.
Or
they lost 2 games to the Lakers.
They lost two games. But after that, undefeated.
Yeah.
The Clippers right now, playoff team will show up again. He's not gonna perform as well.
I mean, if AD didn't get hurt.
Hold on. Let's let Jeremy finish his thought. I want to hear exactly what he has to say.
Look, at the end of the day, no matter what, this team has the guidance of Chris Paul. We trust Chris Paul at the end of the day, and I hope he gets his first ring. With that being said, the way this team is playing, they're the most consistent team so far in this playoffs, rather than the West and the East as well. Yep. No other team will stop them. So if you're gonna tell me that Atlanta or the Bucks or the Clippers have a chance stopping them, they're not.
Yeah, you're right. I think this playoff season, Phoenix is the best team. I mean, hands down, they've been the best team. Even through the adversities, with Chris Paul getting hampered too. I mean, yeah, sure, luck also played a big role.
But, every team they've played has been injured.
Yeah, but it still won't. I don't think that you can say that that's going to be like an asterisk if they do win the championship, because it's still Booker's first year, Ayton's first year. Chris Paul was slightly injured.
It kind of is, though. They're beating the Clippers without their best player.
Look at Trae Young.
Team without their second best player.
That's like saying the Lakers. The Lakers shouldn't have won.
But the Lakers were favorites. But then they were 2-1 up, and then they got injured, and then.
I'm saying the Lakers last season in the bubble. Is that not an asterisk? Then, if according to your logic, wouldn't that be an asterisk?
But at the end of the day,
no. I'm just asking. I don't think it's an asterisk. I'm just asking.
Well, no, that's one series though.
It's more of an anomaly than last season. But we've never had
every single series has had a major injury.
You're right because the Nets, this should have been their championship. I mean, I'm not even being a Nets fan. It was definitely their championship. So
bro, if Kyrie is like healthy, they watch the whole thing, bro.
Exactly. It was their championship.
By 50. Look at the Bucks by 50.
Yes. So, but that didn't happen, right? So the same thing with the Suns. Yes, it's not an injury, but you still lost Chris Paul for 2 games, and then in the first series, he wasn't the same Chris Paul. You can tell. So they also had their little adversities that they had to go through. Now,
not as much as other teams, though. All due respect.
But at the end of the day, you have to adapt. No matter what, you got to adapt.
Exactly, you have to adapt.
This is where coaching comes in. This is why Monty Williams, as well, is doing an amazing job in Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely.
They perform better with those adversities than some healthy teams, right? And that's what I was saying before. Like Philly, although Philly was pretty healthy. They just sucked. And Milwaukee.
It was bad. It was bad coaching.
It was just bad.
Since we're talking about some of the greatest point guards ever, I just want to say Trae Young was the first player to have 45 and 10 in the Eastern Conference.
We're not even talking about Trae Young right now.
Johnny, thank you for the segue. I've been meaning to say Trae Young is the greatest player in the 2018 draft. It's not even close. Luka, who?
Hey, bro, get the smoker off my screen.
This man really said Luca, who, bro? You mad disrespectful. I'm gonna mute
Y'all
you.
can't really.
I'm
Y'all
gonna
really
mute
know
you.
this big joke.
You're muted. You're muted. I muted you. All right, Johnny, go ahead. Or before I mute you too for being disrespectful. So no, with you, I actually want to talk about the Clippers side. So we got Jeremy's point of view on the Suns. For the Clippers, though, I mean, you're without Kawhi. You got Paul George. What does this mean? You know, like how important are these next two games for Paul George? Not for the Clippers per se, because I guess no one's really expecting it. How important is it for Paul George and Kawhi's free agency decision? Like, what do you think?
Well, Kawhi's not going anywhere. Let's not trick ourselves.
Okay.
What I feel like it was something that people are not talking about the Clippers. They could have won. They had a chances to win both games. But yeah. I feel like there was a lot of minutes. There was like 2 crucial minutes. And the Clippers, Ty Lue, he's with this, you know, the amount of depth they have on this roster.
Yeah,
he's really feeling out which guys are the best for the Suns. It took them about 4 games to figure that out against Utah, and then they had that amazing game 6. It took them about 3 games to do that against the Clippers, and had that amazing game 3, game 4, and then they closed it out in game 7. So they need to really figure out who's their best. Like, for example, because the Clippers, I couldn't believe first of all, pandemic, COVID-13, Paul George blew 13? It again. But, I mean, so COVID-13, he could have won the game. He played well. Luke Kennard gave him really good minutes at the tail end of that game. So it really just shows, bro, at the tail end of the game, bro.
I'm just trying to think. You said COVID-13 like 4 times. Isn't it COVID-19?
No, it's COVID-13. Paul George is number 13.
Oh,
pandemic.
I get the joke. That's kind of okay.
The thing is, if you have to explain the joke, it's kind of
I guess.
No, because, bro, first of all, it's the nicotine that's been affecting your mental health for the past 20 years.
I don't know, man. I mean, the beanie, bro. The beanie. What are you doing?
Well, okay. Go ahead. Finish your thoughts so we can move on.
He's got to figure out which rotations are right for the Suns. He can't exploit Ayton the same way he did Rudy Gobert. First of all, bum Rudy Gobert, bro. Like,
I told you. He a bum.
Someone got to dive and test this defensive player of the year trophy. AD got robbed. AD's hamstring is mashed potatoes at the house right now, and he has no deep why to show for it. But anyways, forget it. So he's got to figure out what ways he can exploit the Suns. That's why games 1 and games 2 game 2 was so important to win, because like you said, the Suns were in shambles like the tail end of the fourth quarter. They had no real offense. It was really just they were collapsing, but they're able to close it out. And so we'll figure out, and we don't know what's going on with Kawhi, because it's not an ACL, it's a knee sprain.
Yes.
He's
out, bro. He's not gonna play. There's no way he plays.
I think he plays game 4 or game
There's
6.
no way. I don't think so.
If he doesn't come back, game 6. I give him game 6 of the Suns.
Also, another thing with the rotations I want to mention.
Go ahead, because I have something to say to Utah Jazz fans.
Zubac he's okay, but first of all, DeAndre Ayton is killing him out there.
Oh yeah, DeAndre Ayton is dogging Ivica Zubac, even though Zubac is my guy coming to Brooklyn.
DeMarcus Cousins, like in game 1, he had a span of like 4 minutes where he scored like 11 points, but then from then on he made crucial fouls, and then he was getting.
Yeah.
So Cousins, he has his place when Saric is in there. That's when you put in Cousins to get you some easy buckets. But other than that, remove Cousins from the game, because first of all, Cousins' bad instincts on game 2 is the reason why. He could even affect that pass from Crowder in the inbound, which made no.
Yeah, sense. that was.
So, like I said, that's the point. That's exactly my point. Like, they have so many good players in the Clippers. They just need to know when to implement players. Luke Kennard didn't play last series.
I do want to mention that Ty Lue, he's at least a coach that will do that. Like, he'll be able to see what players will be able to work. Because you know what? As much as I've bashed Tyronn Lue, he's a great coach. I mean, this playoffs definitely solidified it,
Oh
and
my
it's not Paul
god,
George.
the adjustments he's made, bro, is just
Tyronn Lue has been doing an exceptional job, and you know what? And looking back on it, I wish he would have came to Brooklyn as our coach, but that's another point for another day. I
yeah.
do want to mention quickly for the Utah Jazz fans, Jamie Godman, or whoever that was it. He said, "Y'all are biased, man." This was 4 months ago. I just want to say, he said, "Y'all are biased, man. We'll see what the Jazz do come playoff time."
I mean,
What did they do?
Well, okay. I mean, Mitchell was hobbled, bro. I mean, even
okay,
though
okay,
Kawhi was out.
okay,
Kawhi was out.
okay. Kawhi was out,
yeah,
and
that's
Rudy Gobert could not guard a parked car. The man was garbage. 200, what is it? 250, 280 mil. He's Kwame Brown
well,
with no jump shot.
okay. Well,
That's not true.
bro,
That is absolutely true. The man is garbage.
Bro,
no, they played small ball. The coach didn't adjust.
He's trash. He's trash.
Bro, I hate the mentally ill French baguette as much as you guys do, but Rudy Gobert was exposed, bro. Like he's
absolutely exposed.
He was exposed. Yeah.
Badly.
Let's not. This is more of a constructive failure and more of a Quinn Snyder.
Yes, Johnny he has technical difficulties right now, but yes, where the point that he was getting to was definitely coaching as well. They definitely should have moved things around. Derek Favors should have gotten more minutes, but that's besides the point. The Utah Jazz already lost, so screw them. But now we do want to get into a separate part of what we wanted to talk about, and it's one of our last points here. The Philadelphia 76ers, they have a dilemma. They've had this dilemma for a few years now with having Ben Simmons as your starting point guard alongside Joel Embiid. I've said it prior so many times that Ben Simmons should get traded to his own team and basically run an offense with shooters around him. It worked once for Philly, and then Joel Embiid came back and it became Embiid's team again. So obviously there's a lack of confidence with Ben Simmons. There's a lot of things that we can say. Some of the numbers here for Ben Simmons in these playoffs, I just wanted to mention he had a game, the last 3 games against Atlanta, he had 8 points, 6 points, and 5 points. You cannot ask your all-star point guard to give you those type of numbers. I mean, if you want to win the game, you can't be doing that. So the question
I feel
is,
like there needs to be some context, though, right?
No, there's definitely no context. Ben Simmons just sucked.
Bring up who he guarded. Bring up his stats.
It doesn't. Who he guarded was great. I mean, look, he
did
so many. He did so many great things
from the field.
No, because you have Ben Simmons playing great defense, doing everything. He did everything else well. I mean, we all know this, but he's your point guard.
We don't all know this because I've had conversations with people who think that he's an absolute bum.
No,
offensively, he is.
If you those people that think that they're idiots, obviously. I mean, they're not looking at the game. The game says it all. He's playing great on-ball defense. He's playing great off-ball defense. He's rebounding the basketball, finding open shooters. He is the one that gets your shooters open. He makes them get open.
13 assists last game. Keep in mind
he does a great job and all that, but it's his shooting. And his shooting is affecting the wins, and that's why him and Joel Embiid, they just can't play together. So, what are the Philadelphia 76ers going to do with Ben Simmons and Philadelphia? As we can see, Johnny, he does have some technical difficulties. Hopefully, he'll be able to rejoin. If not, thank you, Johnny, for joining the podcast. But Isandro,
I think Johnny finally decided we couldn't handle the beanie anymore. Maybe he decided.
Oh yeah, it was disgusting. Jeez, he looked like Lego. Okay, but let us know, Isandro. What do you think? What's the problem with Ben Simmons? I mean, all this confidence he had in summer league and in the offseason, but he doesn't have it in the playoffs. What do you think happened with Ben Simmons?
He got in his own head. I mean, we all saw that wide open dunk he passed up because he knew he was going to get fouled and he didn't want to go to the free throw line. He's scared of free throws. To me, both are very important, obviously, but the most important thing that he needs to work on this offseason, first and foremost, is those free throws.
Yep.
Because you've seen dominant in the paint players like LeBron and I mean even to Russell Westbrook, John Murray, other players, right? That they're not scared of going to the hoop because they know they're going to draw fouls, right? And what do you do when you draw fouls? You shoot shots. But he's scared of doing the only thing he can actually do offensively because he has no jump shot because of the free throws. So now you had a guy who he couldn't shoot, he did everything else, but at least he was good in the paint, which was a problem with Embiid because Embiid kind of lived in the paint. He could stretch the floor a little bit, but that's where he really was, right?
Yeah.
But he could be in the paint, but now he can't be in the paint because he does not want to get fouled. So now he has zero offense at all. You are playing with somebody with, and that's never, well, I don't know if it's never been seen before, but it's something that you rarely ever see in the NBA. Somebody with no offensive, like usually they'll shoot outside, but not inside, or vice versa.
Yeah.
But he had no offensive game whatsoever. And you can see that in the stats with how he performed in the fourth quarter. He took like, for a couple games combined in the fourth quarter, he shot like 0 times. I don't want to generalize and say that was for every single game, but for a couple games, it was 0 times. And for the entirety of a game, it would be 2 for 4, maybe 5 shots if we got lucky.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That to me was Ben Simmons' big problem. The free throws, because it affected the other aspects of his game to the point where he had 0 offensive game because of those free throws.
So now moving on to Jeremy. Jeremy, what do you think Philadelphia should do with Ben Simmons? Obviously, I think the consensus is that he's getting traded. Now, what do you trade him for? Do you try and tell another team like Portland, right, who's in shambles, like, give us CJ, we'll give you Ben? Or do they just find filler players, like solid role players, an above average starter, and other filler players for that team? Like, what would you do if you were Philadelphia 76ers?
If I was Philly, I would also, like you said before, just now, filler players. Look for obviously a filler, because the thing is, we can't just talk about negative about Ben Simmons. At the end of the day, he will spread out the game. He will give you what you need. Because look, last past games, I'm looking at stats right now. Last game, 13 assists, 5 assists, 9 assists, 9 assists, 7, 7, 10. So he'll open up the game for you a bit. That's not bad. Yeah. But at the end of the game, look at his points: 5, 6, 8, 11, 18, 4 points. So you need somebody, at least. You're not gonna get a Ben Simmons type, you won't. But you need somebody who could not make up those numbers that you're gonna miss the assist at least. But you need something. You can't deal with this. And like Isandro said before, like he mentioned, you got to work on that shot. Free throws especially. You cannot be scared. And this is where most of the NBA is already generalized, already adapted to: drawing fouls, initiating the contact to make free throws. And this is where most of the point. This is where the James Harden comes in. This is where the Trae Young comes in at the end of the day. This is where you get your points. But if you're not getting your points from there, how the heck are you going to develop your offense?
I mean, you can't shoot. People pack the paint. Where else are you going to get your points? People love free throws, and you're running away from them.
So what I kind of want to mention with Ben Simmons, just a disclaimer: he's not a bad player. I mean, Ben Simmons is definitely a great player. Like, he's not a good player.
That is the problem, but we don't want to.
He's not a good player. He's a great player. A great player defensively, and offensively, initiating the offense, running the team. Really, he is so great. I remember in his rookie season, like the year after his rookie season, actually, technically his second year, whatever, the year after he came back from injury, it was him, Ilyasova, Dario Saric, Marco Bellinelli, and JJ Redick. He was running that team, and they went on a streak. Joel Embiid was hurt. They went on a streak, and they were winning games. Every time Joel Embiid is out, just this season, he dropped like 40-something points when Embiid was out. Ben Simmons can do things. The only issue is they're running so heavily that offense for Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons just looked lost. He looks so lost, and the Philly fans are now turning against him. Philly fans are known for being very brutal to their stars, very brutal to their players, because they don't like losing. That's the Philadelphia way for them. Exactly.
That's the process.
So with Ben Simmons, they were actually hyping him up whenever he made it. Like, they were so happy, but now he kind of lost that with the Philly fans, especially with that series against Atlanta. He lost it. So now he has to go to a separate team and run that offense. Where I mentioned it, I think the best team for him is Portland. Portland has Dame. He would get Dame open. Dame would be, oh my God, the pick and roll offense between the two of them would be just outstanding.
Would it be Dame?
Yeah, him and Dame. I wouldn't trade Dame for Ben. I would trade Ben for CJ.
Definitely,
Like
because Dame would just
1000%.
cost way
But
too
Dame
much.
doesn't
Philly doesn't have
Dame
the
doesn't
assets.
consider leaving as well. He's not even sure he wants to be there as well.
Nah.
Dame's plan is to stay and to see what happens, and then if they're just incompetent, the front office, then he's gonna leave. But first and foremost, he wants to stay because of that loyalty. He's not just gonna throw his loyalty out the window. It's Dame.
Yeah. Also,
Same situation as Steph.
just want to
You're
mention
a
that.
Warriors fan.
Just want to mention Johnny's back. Johnny, what? I'm just gonna give you like a quick resume about what we were talking about.
We were talking about the Jazz, and then I got a text from the Jazz organization, and they told me to stop. And then, bro, next thing you know, I'm getting
Please
bagged
stop.
by Donovan Mitchell and Quinn Snyder. They were punching me, and I'm back. I escaped
Okay.
that.
Well,
And they
all right.
they left that hat on you. They didn't even like.
Yeah, because they're trying to they're trying to make it seem like they didn't just beat me up now. So you know.
Yes,
Yes.
but I just want to tell you real quick about what we were talking about. We're talking about Ben Simmons. Jeremy is saying that Ben Simmons should be traded for filler players, for just other players around the league, right? Just trying to get an above average starter and then other role players to play alongside Joel Embiid to like really maximize his potential. And then Isandro, what I asked him was, what's wrong with Ben Simmons, and basically Isandro was saying that his shooting, the free throws, like he's not trying to get free throws, even though his body is big enough to get into the paint and draw so many fouls. He's just not doing it. So I want to ask you, with Ben Simmons, with Doc Rivers and all this, I mean, Ben Simmons, everybody's saying that he should change his jumper to his right hand. He's ambidextrous, all this stuff. There's so many things that can be said about Ben Simmons, but do you think that this can really affect him for whatever team he ends up going to, in the long run? Or is it just putting him in a position that he can initiate an offense? Like, how do you think this is going to affect him for, basically his career?
Well, I mean, it really just depends on where he goes. Because first of all, the Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid fit hasn't fit since the beginning, since they were there. Like they should have traded Ben Simmons 3 years ago. And even though Ben Simmons had a horrible playoffs, but I mean, having Ben Simmons you have Joel Embiid, you have Ben Simmons, who, I mean, they're basically playing 4 and 5 when he's on the court because he can't. All he's trying to do is to initiate the offense, but he can't if players are not respecting his jump shot. For example, like so Ben Simmons, he's getting the ball off a pick and roll. They're just not going to guard him. They're just going to guard the player he's trying to get the ball involved too. The ball too. So it doesn't make any sense. So exactly. So the thing is, really, Ben Simmons, what makes him so special is that he thrives in playmaking in the open court. And obviously,
that's what I said. Yeah, that's what I mentioned before too. Yeah,
the lack of spacing of Joel Embiid doesn't really permit that, and so he needs to go in a system where he can really be the focal point of the offense. I really wish he got traded to the Rockets because that's where he could have been. I mean, not only he could have been the focal point of the offense, and they have the spacing, the 3-point shooting, but they have actual talent there. So
you're talking about when James Harden was available, right? Like you thought that the Philadelphia should have pulled the trigger.
They should have. Well,
I don't think
or
that
at least
Philly,
Houston should have pulled the trigger for Ben Simmons
because they hated Daryl Morey for leaving and they didn't want anything to do with him, right?
And it was basically a king's ransom. It was basically a king's ransom. It was like Thibault, Ben, Maxey, Picks. Like, all right, like because
half the team.
Then that's the core of your future, and then that's a huge defensive piece in Thibault. Like, okay, that was kind of too much.
I know, but the point is that the Harden for Ben Simmons and Ben Simmons should have been a huge rocket.
The point is that let's not get carried away here. Like Ben Simmons is the focal point of a James Harden trade. He has potential. The shooting will get there, but the fact that he's taking no shots in the fourth quarter proves that it's really a mental game with him now.
Yep.
So that's why when it comes to a mental thing, you need a whole off season, change the shooting form to the right hand, work on the free throws, and you need to get out of Philadelphia because if you're gonna improve, Philadelphia is not the market because at this point they're just completely impatient with him.
Hey man,
he can't improve.
Look, Ben Simmons. I hate that I'm saying this again, but come to New York. Why not play in New York with the New York Knicks? I mean,
you guys have any idea? You guys, I mean, as regards to like Ben Simmons and where you think he should be traded.
Yeah. You said yours. Which one was yours in the chat? I think you said it.
I said Minnesota.
That was the pick.
To add that, you know why that's even more of a huge. They should now. It's because they got no picks. They got no first round picks. That I think they really feel like they should really go after.
Win now mode. Yeah, even though there's not much to win by.
How would D'Lo
suicide watch?
You said what?
How would D'Lo fit in Philly? I mean, he could shoot.
He could shoot.
If D'Lo gets shitted again, his career is over. It's a mental game with him too. It won't. I'll feel too bad for him anyway. But
D'Lo saved his career in that 2 month span in Brooklyn, and he hasn't been the same since. Injuries, I know, but still.
Yeah. If anything, I would love. I mentioned it before. Ben Simmons in Portland. I think him and Dame would work so well together.
Definitely. Takes pressure off of Dame, playmaking wise, because Dame had to score and.
Yes, that's true. But how does CJ McCollum make the Sixers better?
Because he can shoot.
Oh my god!
Whoa! And what else?
Playmaking. Look, the thing is with CJ McCollum. Can I just say?
Let him explain. He just thinks because he's been playing near Dame, he's not a good playmaker.
So CJ
McCollum, he's not a playmaker. He's never been that.
I'm gonna tell you. CJ McCollum, he actually is a good playmaker. He's not a great playmaker. He's not better than Ben Simmons, obviously, but he is still a good playmaker.
So what are you trading Ben for then? That's my point. What are you trading Ben
for shooting? It's so important. His shooting, CJ McCollum's shooting outweighs everying else that Ben Simmons does.
You can get a playmaker that can shoot for Ben Simmons, bro. Bro, you were about to get James.
You're getting CJ McCollum. I mean, he's a solid playmaker, and he'll give the ball to Joel Embiid in the post. He'll find Tobias Harris in the corner. CJ McCollum is not a bad playmaker. If you're putting him out to be like he's just a scorer.
Wait, Johnny, let me ask you something.
You bugging? If you think I'm trading away Ben Simmons for a 29-year-old Swiss cheese legs.
Well, obviously, there's going to be more players involved.
So this is interesting. I don't have an opinion on this. I just have a question. Johnny, do you feel like CJ and Ben Simmons, that trade, you feel like Portland would easily win that trade and it wouldn't be fair for Philly? Like, you think it's really not even like a fair exchange?
I think Portland wins that trade and Sixers do not improve from where they were with Ben Simmons.
Really? Because I've heard the opposite. I've heard that. Why would you trade Ben for CJ?
Wait. So if they have, they're still not making over the hump of CJ McCollum, in my opinion. Like, unless there's other players of that trade, but not because what Ben gives you defensively, bro, you're not getting back. Like,
but you don't need that though, because you have other defenders on the wing. You don't need that defense right now.
As long as they keep Thibault, but Thibault might be included in the trade.
I highly doubt it. I was saying on the team.
I don't think so.
Look, you've got a starting lineup of CJ McCollum, or not even. You could start Tyrese Maxey, CJ McCollum, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harrison, Joel Embiid. You're telling me that's not a championship contender?
Who's the playmaker?
Steph Curry out too.
You got Tyrese and you got CJ McCollum handling the ball. CJ McCollum is a good playmaker.
So you come in this season expecting that you're going to be a championship contender with Tyrese Maxey, CJ McCollum, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. Bro, you crazy.
Absolutely.
You're crazy. Bro, you're crazy, dog. ISO ball CJ McCollum, bro. What is he going to do? He's not going to lead you to a championship.
I'm not saying he's going to lead you to a championship. I'm saying that he's a better fit for that team than Ben Simmons is.
But that doesn't make them necessarily a title contender.
I know, but I'm not trading Ben Simmons for a person that's not going to exponentially change our team. If that makes sense.
But he is going to change the team.
He's going to change the team, but what are they going to be? Like, what is their ceiling? Will probably be like Eastern Conference Finals, probably.
Well, look, Johnny, you bring up a good point, but the thing is, what options do they have?
You don't have much on the table. You don't have much on the table.
His value has dropped. That's a fact. Okay, so everybody watched these playoffs, bro. Everybody knows Ben Simmons.
Yeah, because if Ben Simmons was doing well, I guarantee you the teams involved would be Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal, something like that. Then I would love that. But
you throw in other players, obviously, but there might even be conversations about him going for Damian Lillard, and you trade a crap ton of other pieces.
No. Okay, so I'm thinking, CJ McCollum is good. I mean, if you can get CJ McCollum, but I'm just saying, if you're going to get CJ McCollum, you have to make sure there's a plan in place where you can get another playmaker somewhere else, maybe in a 3-team deal.
Well, obviously you can sign a free agent that's a playmaker. Like these are things that can be filled, but CJ McCollum is not a bad playmaker. Like he's not. The fact that you think that, it's kind of scaring me because
he's not the playmaker the Sixers would need to take them to the next level.
The thing is, Johnny, you're forgetting the only reason we've seen Dame and CJ is because they drafted Dame and CJ together, but they're both kind of point guardy. But CJ has played shooting guard out of necessity because they had Dame and they wanted to make it work. But he is better handling the ball as a point guard.
Yeah, because Doc Rivers is gonna change CJ.
You're right. Of
really?
course,
Doc Rivers. I mean, I'm not saying he's a Hall of Fame coach, but
Doc, the plays that Doc Rivers was running for Ben Simmons was just like flat out idiotic, bro.
But those are the only plays you can run for Ben Simmons because all he can do is stay inside.
I know, but I hate Doc Rivers, bro.
I know, but it's a. I think that would be a great trade. I like the Minnesota thing too.
A lot of people agree with you, Jay. Not just me. Like
I said it before Stephen A. Smith said it. I just want to point that out there.
I agree with you.
No, I'm saying McCollum is good. But I'm saying that.
I did. Look at the receipts.
Saying, if you could trade Ben Simmons for Kyle Lowry, that would make the Sixers way better.
Kyle Lowry is a free agent, so he's not going to do a sign and trade. He can leave when he wants. It's not a restricted free agency where he can do a sign and trade. He doesn't have to do a sign and trade.
Well, if they want to get Ben, if Toronto wants to get Ben,
if they do, then yeah. But why would you have Ben Simmons and Pascal Siakam playing the same position?
Ben Simmons
doesn't work.
Point guard.
But Ben Simmons and Fred VanVleet would be pretty decent. It's just because of Pascal.
They got the 4th pick, so you could tell.
That would be
nice. Maybe, but we got to wrap it up here now, guys. We talked a lot about a lot of different topics, but let us know, please, down in the comment section what you guys think. Whether it be the Ben Simmons topic, whether it could be, the conference finals topics. And we also want to know where you guys think Ben Simmons should go. Definitely going to post it on Instagram. So we'll see exactly what we talk about for the next time, possibly for the championship. We'll talk. And then we also have to do a mock draft and a coaching podcast because there's a lot of things going on around the NBA, guys. But please subscribe, and hit that like button down below. Shout us out. Shout out
Bum Simmons, bro. Ben Simmons needs to go to Siberia for a year to learn how to
He ain't a bum. That's still my guy. But thank you guys for joining, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.